Today we're talking about what it means to be back at the beginning. Hi, I'm Jessica Valant, a physical therapist and Pilates teacher, and I want to bring science-based knowledge, empathy, courage, support, love, and hopefully some fun to the journeys we have with our bodies. There is hope and strength in your body, and my goal is to help you find it. Welcome back to Meet Your Body. It is December 27th, 2023, so the new year is just a few days away. And we have kids here at home, obviously, for Christmas break, so they are running around upstairs, and I have asked them to please skip like the basketball and the indoor golf and the roller skating, all the things that happen indoors in Denver in the winter when it's cold and we're on Christmas break. I've asked them to please hold on that while I talk to you for a few minutes. We'll see if that happens. So if you hear little noises, that is what that is. I am so excited to talk with you today, and I want to talk about this idea of being back at the beginning. And let me tell you a little context around where this is coming from. One is simply that it's the new year, and somehow we have decided that at the beginning of every year we set some goals, and at the end of the year we look back and see if we made those goals. It's kind of an arbitrary thing, but it makes sense, right? A year ends, a year begins. It's a good time to do it. And however you do your goal setting or vision boards or dreaming, however you do that, even if you don't have a consistent practice of it, it's just human nature to look back sometimes at the end of the year and think, how did this year go? Where am I now compared to where I was? How do I feel now compared to then? I think it's just a little bit of, like I said, human nature and what we do. So that's one reason I want to talk about that idea of being back at the beginning, because a new year feels a little bit like a new beginning. And that can be really exciting. I personally actually love the beginning of a new year. I love the idea of a blank slate. I love my clean new planners. They're sitting right here in front of me on my desk. We do some dream boards as a family. I love setting a word for the year. And I actually have a whole entire podcast about that from December and maybe January of last year. You can look back and find that an entire podcast on how I kind of set goals for the year. So you can listen to my exact process. And so I really do tend to like that. And research shows us that we perform well with goals. Like goal setting can be a really important part of our progression as a human being. Research tells us that. So there's that component, that idea of a new beginning. Let me tell you the other part of the context around this. If you listened to my podcast from last week, you know that 3 weeks ago I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Not something you ever want to hear. I'm still obviously in shock around it. There's a lot of feelings around it. And going back even farther, it's been just kind of a little bit of a challenging year for me on the physical side. So I had some, as we all do, I had some goals in January and I had some physical goals, and I don't set mine at all around really specific numbers. I just have goals around kind of, I want to get stronger in this area, or I have a goal that I've always wanted to be able to do a pull-up. I never have. Any of you listening, I've never done a pull-up, and it is my goal to do a pull-up. So I have kind of goals like that I set in a physical standpoint for my body going forward. And so in January, I had some of those. And then we were snowboarding in February, I believe it was February, maybe January, and I fell and got a hairline fracture in my sacrum. So that definitely set back some things that I was able to do. That happened in February. My mother-in-law, who we had been caretakers for a very long time, she had Alzheimer's. She passed away in March, and we sat vigil with her for quite a while, and so emotionally went through all of that is involved. Then I kind of realized I was in perimenopause probably around that time, a little bit earlier. And again, none of that holding me back, just those things of, oh, okay, now this is something I'm going to work through. What does my movement look like with this? What do my habits look like with this now? I have to change some things, right? I can't go to the classes at that time that I thought I'd be able to because I'm doing this instead, or I can't do that workout because it still really hurts my sacrum. You probably can relate. It's a lot of just problem solving. And then I recovered from those things. I felt like I was back to habit in summer. And then my SI flared and my endometriosis flared. Again, nothing completely new, but it was definitely worse than it had been. So it's just more, okay, I have to put my mind frame around that. I have to change some things. That's okay. I can't lift as heavy as I've been wanting to, but I'll get back to it. And then right when my SI was kind of calming down, right when I felt like I was back, I was actually on a trail run, back to a trail run, and I was attacked and bitten by a dog. And that was in a couple months ago. That was like in October, I believe. That happened, which definitely, again, kind of set me back. Had to change, how do my workouts look like now? Because I have a big injury and I have to work around it. And so I really was just recovered, like 8 weeks after that, recovered from that, feeling like I was back to, the things I wanted to do, feeling that freedom in our bodies that I talked to you about so much, that idea of freedom and kind of safety. And then I got this diagnosis and found out that in 3 weeks, I'm having a double mastectomy. And with all of that, I found just this little voice creeping up just a couple days ago, little voice creeping up, because it's the irony of a new year, like that I'm actually starting a new year with major surgery and a cancer diagnosis. This little voice creeped up and said, well, you're just back to the beginning, aren't you? Just back to the beginning. And that's the piece that I want to talk about today, because I know I'm not alone in that thought process. I absolutely know that so many of you out there have had that little voice come in, well, I'm back to the beginning, aren't I? And whether it's something physically, whether it's an injury, whether it's a relationship that maybe you thought was going really well and then something set it back, whether it's house hunting, job hunting, whether it's trying to get ahead in your job and a promotion didn't go the way you thought and you just think, well, I'm back to the beginning, aren't I? That thought creeps in so much and it holds us back. And that's the piece that I want to talk about today. So there's two parts that I want us to focus on today around this idea of being back to the beginning. And the first thing is simply asking, what's so wrong with being back to the beginning? Why is that so bad? And I know you might kind of be rolling your eyes thinking, oh my gosh, well, of course it's bad. Well, but really ask yourself, like, let's try to reframe this a little bit. What is so wrong about being back to the beginning? Why in our society do we think we have to constantly go, win, be at the end, be at the end, be at the end? Because guess what happens every time you're at the end of something? You're at the beginning of something else. Right? Even if you get that promotion, or even if you get that dream house, or even if you get that goal of pull-ups, okay, even if I get that pull-up, that's actually then the beginning of something else. Because then I guess I need to get more pull-ups, or maybe I need to be consistent with it. I don't just get to stop. I have to continue to build that strength to keep it going. If I don't actually keep practicing, I'm not going to be able to get a pull-up again. So ask yourself really, truly, like logically, what is so wrong about this idea of being back to the beginning? Yes, it can feel like we've lost time. Yes, it can feel like the effort was for naught. I know there's a lot of those emotions around it. But if you peel back those layers and let's really look at it and simply say, is it so bad to be at the beginning of something? You get to start over. You get the chance to start something over. You get the chance to be a beginner again. You get the chance to learn again. You get to be with other beginners. You might be able to share your experiences with them and they can share their experiences with you. I think there's a lot to be said for being at the beginning. And I simply want us to go into this conversation again, with that idea of reframing it a little bit, when that voice creeps up and says it with that tone, oh my gosh, here we go. We're just back to the beginning, just back to square one. Can you just change the tone? Can you just instead say, oh, all right, guess I'm back at the beginning. Guess I'm starting over. All right, so where are we now? Let me get my things in line. Let me assess the situation. So that's the first thing I want you to do, is just put a little bit of thought into the idea that maybe, just maybe, even if it's not our choice, I mean, it is not my choice to be back here at the beginning, starting the new year with cancer and surgery. It is not. It is simply my choice on how I react to that. So can I bring a little bit of positivity to this idea that I get to be a beginner mover again? And before we get into the second piece about being a beginner, that's really, really important, I want to remind you that we do celebrate being a beginner here in Unlimited. And on January 7th, 2024, we're starting my Back to Basics 4-week challenge. That is exactly that. It's going to build the foundation of healthy habits, of believing in yourself, of feeling empowered in movement. We're going to focus on the beauty of the basics in all of those areas so that you build that strong foundation to feel confident, to feel safe in your body, and to feel joyful with movement. Again, I will have the link below in the show notes to sign up. You can just go to www.jessicavalantpilates.com/unlimited to find out all about our challenge. And it starts again January 7th, 2024. The second thing I want us to really focus on today around this idea of being back at the beginning is just the simple, realistic fact that you are never truly back at the beginning. You aren't. Because even if you are starting over, okay, even if you have an injury and you feel like you have to start over again, even if you have a break and you feel like you have to start over again, whatever you feel like you have to start over again doing, you aren't in the same spot that you were when you originally did that. You have experience behind you. You have possibly days, possibly years of life experience. You've learned. You have trial and error. There are so many things that are different about you and what you're bringing to doing it again. A really simple way to look at this, based in absolute fact, is from a physical therapy perspective, okay? When we are working with someone with an injury, we know absolutely from research that they have better outcomes, okay? They're going to recover more quickly. They're going to have better long-lasting results if that person is stronger when they come into therapy. So if they have more strength prior to the surgery or injury, they are going to recover faster and have better long-term results. What that means is you're never actually back to the complete beginning because you have built strength. Everything that you do in between these life events, that builds you up to have better outcomes. So you're never truly going all the way back to the beginning. Like, we don't live our life in this constant circle. And somehow I think that's what we kind of imagine is, okay, I'm going to start at the top of the circle and I go around and around and around and around and I get to the end and I just start it again and get to the end and start it again. So we kind of picture that if we're always back to that beginning part of the circle, that we're just doing it like a gerbil on a wheel, you know, like a hamster on a wheel is what I'm trying to say. Gerbil, hamster, guinea pig, any of those on a wheel. Like, that's what we kind of picture, that we're just constantly on this wheel going. And if we fall off the wheel, then we just get right back on that same wheel and have to start over again and again, like the counter starts over again. But that is not how it works. It's not how life works. Every time you feel that you're actually starting over again, instead, I want you to picture simply a fork in the road. That's all. It's just taking a detour. That's what it is. It's a bump in the road. It is a detour, but it does not discount everything that you have done to get to this spot. The way I picture it, and stay with me here on this analogy because this really came to me and it really helped me quite a bit. And again, a lot of this is going to relate to kind of physical aspects, meaning strength injuries, because that is the place I live. And that's a little bit what I am experiencing right now with this surgery coming up. Is that's kind of how I picture it, is, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose this strength and I have to start over again. So that's where I'm coming at it. But this can truly relate and apply to anything in life that you feel that way, that you feel like you're, in air quotes, starting over again, or you're going back to the beginning. So we have these hostas out front. Okay, hostas are perennial. They come back every year. It's a plant. I am not a good gardener, but if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I try really hard every spring to plant things and get them to grow. And hostas, I have a very soft spot in my heart for hostas. I love them, and I tend to be able to get them to grow. So we have a few in our front yard, and I love them. And when you plant hostas, like, you have a bulb that you plant, and it's a, little leaves that are coming out, but sometimes it's really just the bulb. And so over the years, I've seen in the spring, the leaves start to come out. And so we had this big, beautiful hosta. I was so proud of it. And we had a crazy hailstorm in June this past summer. Crazy, biggest hail I've ever seen in my life. Hail was gone, and the leaves of this hosta were shredded. I mean, completely shredded. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. And this poor thing, then I couldn't enjoy it all summer. And I'm like, well, there it goes. There goes my hosta. It's gone. We're back to the beginning. But guess what? There's no way we were back to the beginning. You know why? Because the hail can't reach the roots of that plant. The hail didn't get down deep. The hail did not get down to the foundation that hosta and I had built together with nutrients and water and sun and the few years we had put into it before it got that big and beautiful. So I now am waiting patiently on bated breath for May to come in 2024 so I can see those leaves come back out again. Do I want to rush the process? Yes. I want to see it now. I want to see the end result now. But I can't. All I can do is trust that the foundation that was built in that plant is going to stay strong to allow those leaves to come back this year. Did I want to see them last year? Yes. Would I rather have that hailstorm not come so I can enjoy it? Yes. But did I let that hailstorm make me believe? Did I let that curveball from life, right? Did I let that injury, did I let that incident make me believe that all was for naught and I might as well just throw away the whole plant? No, because that is not truth. It's not truth. The foundation you have built, whether it's physically, whether it's mentally, in mindset, whether it's a spiritual foundation, a belief system, whatever it is, you have to believe that you are doing something good for yourself every day that builds that foundation so that when the hailstorm comes, and I'm not saying if, I would love to say if, but I have too much life experience at this point to say if the hailstorm comes. I'm saying when. When a small or a big hailstorm or curveball comes in your life, you can trust that you have built the foundation so that maybe your leaves will be shredded for a while. Maybe even for a year you don't get to see the bounty of your work, but it will come back because you've built the foundation. And that is why there is no such thing as going back to the beginning. Life does not allow it. We keep moving forward, and everything we've learned and every step we take and everything we do, even if it seems insignificant, even if that 10-minute workout today that you do feels in your brain insignificant. Maybe you think, oh, I should be doing an hour. Guess what? 10 minutes makes a difference. You are adding to your foundation, okay? Looking in the mirror and saying, I believe in myself today. I feel safe in my body today. That makes a difference. You are working those muscles, and the more you work them, the further and further you get to step into believing that and into that strong foundation so that when you feel that you're back to the beginning, you know you are not. So there are two things that we're going to do moving forward from today. We are going to honor wherever we are and reframe that idea of being back to the beginning. Just reframe it a little bit so that you can find possibly a benefit of starting again or starting a new process with new eyes. And then also you're going to remember that there's truly no way that you can be right back where you started, because you are doing something good for yourself every day. You're building a foundation. You are a new person with a new perspective. You have life experience, all of which is going to help you going forward. And maybe you even make today your new beginning. Maybe you grab hold of that idea. You grab hold of that possibility of starting over again and say, you know what? Yes, I can start that foundation today. I'm going to build on this part that's done really well for me, and I'm going to throw this other part away, because you know what? It's your choice. You get to decide to do that. For me personally, I know from my life experience that recovering from surgery isn't fun. This is a new surgery I've never experienced before. I don't know when in the world after a bilateral mastectomy I get to practice pull-ups, but I know it's not going to be soon. But you know what? It will be someday. It will be someday. And that is what I will remember. I am not starting over from scratch. I'm starting over from a new fork in the road. And I get to bring all of my strength and experience and everything that makes me me, and all the work that I've done over the past however many years will come with me and will work to serve me on this new fork in the road. And it will do the same for you. So let's all enter 2024. Let's all enter this new year, this new day, this new month, this new second. Let's enter it with the joy of learning something new, with the anticipation of what might come, and with the confidence that we can face it when it does. Thanks so much for being here. Happiest of New Year's to you, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for joining me today on Meet Your Body. If you have a moment, please consider rating and reviewing this podcast, as it helps us tremendously. For more resources and workouts, you can visit my website, jessicavalantpilates.com, or find me on YouTube or Instagram at Jessica Valant Pilates.